So, have you had a sudden loss of time to pursue your art? Have you lost your inspiration? Worse, does both happen to you? Well, I've been an artist in both music and theater for over 25 years, and over the past 10 years I started teaching higher education in theater. And the more I got into my professorial career, the more and more my music started to dwindle until it was about nothing. And all of a sudden, I really found I had no time or inspiration, though I really wanted to. So, would you like to know how I got back on track and how you can apply those tactics to what you do? Well, that's what I'm here to show you today, right after this.
Seize the soul.
Welcome to Creativity Control. I am Michael Gilboe, and I am so glad to have you here with me today, because on this channel you're going to learn all the things they don't really teach you in school, and this is going to put you so far ahead of the rest of the pack. So, have you been losing inspiration? Time? Comment down below. I'd love to hear what issues you're facing. This story is going to be very personal. I'm going to talk personal things in a lot of these videos, but this, in a way, kind of sets up the whole reason I am doing this channel. Because how I put together everything to refocus is what I think a lot of people face. So I'm kind of outlining those steps, and some of them I'm still going through, some of them I have kind of completed. But we're going to find a way to make the most of what we do. So before I get going, if you feel so inclined, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know when we got something new out. Okay, so again, I want to talk to you about how I kind of reclaimed time and inspiration when I lost it on my music. So first, I'm going to talk about my youth, and I'm sure that many of you are going to identify with one or all of the portions of my story. But when I was young, I had inspiration galore. You couldn't stop me from working. I would do everything. I didn't have to have anything formalized because I would just work. I would work until 5 a.m. and then sleep until 3. And I loved having all of these uncharted, unchecked moments where I could just be creative and explore. And I was also very, very active and very businesslike, and that's still some elements I'll talk to you about. I was very entrepreneurial, and I did take that very seriously. But once I started teaching, and it was kind of accidental how I stepped into higher education, but I loved it. And the more I got into teaching theater, the less time I had to do music, and the less I was inclined to make time and do things, until it just was kind of by the wayside. And maybe you'll see pictures, but I have all this gear in a studio, and that felt like kind of a waste. So I mentioned that I enjoyed, working till all hours in the morning, and this is something I bet most all of you identify with. And part of how I got out of the habit of doing music is I loved being in this area where I could be open-ended in my creation. It wasn't going to have to come to an end, and I would just get very uncreative the more I knew that this time was going to come an end, whether it was 7 hours or 6 hours or 4 hours or whatever. I'm not going to get started because I'm not going to be able to finish. I like kind of starting and finishing, or getting a humongous chunk done at once. And that just became more and more impractical. And I'm willing to bet, if you're watching this video, that you may be experiencing that. And if you haven't yet, all these topics I'm building up in this thing, if you're still young and got enthusiasm, I still would have done better had I had these systems in place when I was younger. All right, so moving back on track, I knew one of the biggest things holding me back was my lyric writing. It's always been my weakness. Not that I'm bad at it, but it's the area that I struggle most, dislike, and it's the first spot that I think about having to do it, and it stops me. So this seemed to me a good place to start with my biggest roadblock. And so I brainstormed a couple things, and I'll kind of show you some flashes of what they are on the screen. So first off, I decided I was going to write a stanza, a chorus or a verse or something every single night, or at some point during the day. Every single day I was going to write a stanza. And to kind of help me with this, because I've always been a fan of actually kind of tools and forced creativity. So I made up this list of 180 emotional power words. And while what I'm talking about is very specific to kind of my songwriting and music, I want you to be thinking of how you can break down what you do into little pieces that make sense for you, because every artist in every discipline is going to work slightly different. And if I were to do consultations, this is probably where I would spend most of the time with any artists, is helping them break down what they do into little chunks. But try to start thinking of how you would kind of chunk things out. Um, so I came up with this list of 180 power words, and it looks a little like this. Exciting, right? Okay, then I randomized a whole series of 5 numbers. I would take these 5 words and I would have to use them in the next song. Um, and while this kind of seemed slow at first, all of a sudden I realized within a couple months that I had been writing 2 full lyrics a month. Now, mind you, like my wife said, but are they good songs? I'm like, you know what? I'm writing more bad lyrics than I have ever written in my life, but I'm also writing more good ones. Because I realized in 2, 3 months that I had been writing 2 completed songs a week, and had finished more songs lyrically than I had in the past 5, 6 years. And so this started to impress me. About the same time, I heard about a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And I highly, highly recommend you check out this book. He had, I'm going to read this comment from a thing so I don't get it wrong. He says, some people spend their entire lives waiting for the time to be right to make an improvement. And the book is all about creating habits. And I guess it hit me really easily at that time, because what I had done without really realizing it was set up this lyric writing habit. And he talks about how small little habits can snowball into big changes very quickly. And I was already on board with what he was saying, because as he was saying it, I'm looking at this collection of lyrics and realizing it. So I was like, okay, next step, music. Again, this is really where I would want long expanses of time to kind of work on a whole track and do it at once. But I still am working. I don't have the time to devote. So I'm like, okay, let me do this first thing when I wake up in the morning. I'm just going to spend 15-20 minutes composing on a track. But, and I'm sure that many of you have different areas that you'll know what this is about. There are some people that can do these little things and make a progression really easily, like a novelist, a page, a page, a page. You just keep trucking forward. There are some art forms where that 15 to 20 minutes would be supremely unproductive for me if I wasn't able to pick up knowing exactly what I had next. So I had to kind of systemize what writing a song, writing a track was for me, and so I'm like, okay, well, I want drums, and I want 3 different drum beats to go with. I want 3 different chord progressions. I want a lead part, a bass part, and a thing. And so literally I created a system of checkboxes and keys and stuff where I would check off what I had done, what the chords were, and write them in as I went, so that I could come right back in and not have to spend 5 or 10 of my minutes just trying to remember what I was doing, but jump right back in. And again, in a couple months, I was doing 2 or 3 tracks a week, so I was building up a huge repertoire. What I hadn't quite yet noticed here is that my lack of inspiration and motivation were gone. These habits were indeed just kind of taking over. I was enjoying it. It was a great way to wake up in the morning. I wasn't yet thinking, hey, I'm inspired. But I was feeling better all around in the day. But at this point, I'm going, okay, I've got some lyrics, I've got some songs. I started just kind of listening to the music, going back and forth on the lyrics, and I started just realizing, oh, some things pair up. I mean, most popular music is 4/4 time. If I didn't have a specific melody in mind, and I would just kind of pair these up. And I will say, this is very specific to my songwriting, but I found it was kind of like a way to co-write with myself, because people say, well, lyrics first or melody first. Well, I basically did both separately, the track and the lyrics separate, and then I was like kind of collaborating with myself to make it work. That was kind of cool as a side note. Anyway, so I started writing, and putting the songs together and kind of trying to clear up time to do this once a week, to put out of the various things I was putting together, which is about double that material, to create one song a week. And as I started getting a few songs built up, this is all working out quite nicely. So I was looking, okay, I'm ready to get back into production. I'm now motivated. I got some songs I'm excited about, that I feel good about. I've been able to write more than I'm able to produce, but same thing, I had limited time, and I couldn't sit and do a song from finish to end in production and mixing. So same thing, I put together a sheet of every step, super detailed, of what I do when it comes to mixing, so that I could check off when it's done. Again, so I didn't have to waste any time coming back to it with my limited time. Lo and behold, I right now am sitting with 3 songs done, 12 songs in various steps in the pipeline, to kind of put one song out every 3 to 4 weeks as I go on. And this is this is the power of stacking habits. And I'm not going to say this has not been smooth the whole way. I'm not going to make it easy. Sometimes I've stopped and bring it up. I'm also been very aggressive at trying to add new habits to change my life. I mean, I'm facing within a year going back to what I was doing, but having kind of lost some of the natural inherent entrepreneurial drive that I had always had. So I'm really systematically sitting to build this for myself, and as I do that, trying to break down and help you find that entrepreneurial drive for yourself with what you do. But because I'm being so aggressive, there's a thing he talks about in the book. It's called habit stacking. It's trying to find ways to put what you want to do habit-wise before or after something that you're already doing, to make it more inevitable that you will actually get it done. So as I've added other habits into my life, I've definitely experimented around. Like, I've gone in, is it better for me to work on my track before I go to the gym or after I go to the gym? Because I'm willing to bet, just like me, you right now waste more time than you realize. Spend 10 minutes here watching my video. Thank you. But you can do something else with this 10 minutes next time. Because it is amazing how much you can get accomplished if you just do something for 10 minutes every day, like James Clear says. All right, so you're going to have to really work hard to break this down. In order to make this work for you, you might very well have to really look at the smallest chunks that you have to break things down into. Despite the fact that breaking it into chunks might feel very formulaic, you can actually use this for inspiration. I don't know how it would be for you, but for instance, in music, when I would have clients, I got used to doing things very fast to do very well with their hourly rates, etc. But as you know, speed doesn't always work the best for being creative. So when I broke things down into chunks, I put in some specific things to not skip over, that I want to maybe experiment with a couple different sounds, try a different drum hit, try something random, is part of my steps, so that I remember to experiment and have fun with it. So I realize that while I'm saying this in a very simple way, and you may even think this seems pretty simple, it took me a long time to really sit and break stuff down. So it's going to take some effort for that. And if I were to do private consultations with people, I imagine that this is probably where I would spend a lot of time with people, is helping them break down what they do creatively into little accessible steps. So don't feel bad if, as you try to do this, it feels like you're having a problem. You just keep at it and you'll find it. All right, time to hand out the homework, because I give you an assignment that you can do right now so that you don't just forget about this. And all I want you to do is to come up with one short habit that you can start tomorrow or even tonight. That's it. Something that can be done in 5 to 10 minutes, and you can start it right away. Okay? And part 2 to that assignment is I want you to use habit stacking, put it with another habit. Which habit do you already do that you could put this new habit right before or right after to make sure you don't forget about it and actually get it done. Now, if you're so inclined, I would love it if you'd be willing to share that information down below in the comments. I'm sure it might help out some other people as well. The main thing I want you to do is get started and stop making excuses. It may be hard the first couple days, but it gets easy quick. All right, so don't worry about a big thing, just a little thing. I'm going to read a quote from outstanding book, Twyla Tharp's The Creative Habit. And she says in this, I'm going to read it again, remember this when you're struggling for a big idea. You're much better off scratching for a small one. All right, so go scratch for your small idea. I will see you in the next episode. Again, please subscribe if you haven't, ring the bell, tell a friend, not for me, because if you go through this with a friend and keep yourselves accountable, you'll learn more. So tell a friend about this channel for you. All right, until then, stay creative.